All right, folks, welcome back to the Crisis Report. It is September 14th, 2025. We are brought to you by Augusta Precious Metals. If you'd like to change your IRA into gold and silver, this is a great company to do it for. This video is entitled The World is Different, and it's kind of taking the last 36, 48 hours of what's going on and giving you the latest. I'll be honest, kind of want to take a little bit of time off. Pretty busy weekend, so we're getting things ready to get our house going and all that. So we needed to paint. I got paint on my hands currently and all that, but we need to paint and just clean and fix and do stuff like that. So that's kind of what we did. And so yeah, I'm back and we're getting ready for the week, and so we're gonna get started with everything. This is over the last 36 hours of information that has been going on, and not a lot has changed, but we're still kind of in a bit of a holding pattern. And you know, if I could say one thing about what's going on all around, I would say that the world just seems different. So what that means, what it looks like, I guess we'll just do the information and let you guys try to figure it out for yourselves. That's what we do here. So hit that like button, do the subscribe thing, darken out the bell, get the notifications, and let's do the thing, okay? All right, here we go. Crisis Report for September 14th, 2025, entitled The World is Different. Erica Kirk, widow of Charlie Kirk, pledged Friday to carry on her husband's work. North Korea is going to boost nuclear arsenal, conventional military state media reports. President Trump said he already was ready to sanction Russia, but on the condition that all NATO allies agree to completely halt purchases of Russian oil and implement their own sanctions. Happening now, Unite the Kingdom rally in London has drawn a massive crowd, and some of the pictures were pretty legendary. Charlie Kirk's alleged hitman, Tyler Robinson, was in a romantic relationship with a trans partner, according to Fox News. Authorities are investigating whether Tyler Robinson, suspected of killing Charlie Kirk, believed Kirk's views on gender identity were hateful to people like Robinson's trans roommate. 6 sources familiar with the case tell Axios. Romania, Poland have scrambled aircraft as drones have struck Ukraine. That was kind of one of the bigger stories yesterday. I guess evidently one of the drones went into Romanian airspace for a little bit, so they're all freaking out. Got more on that to come. 300 South Korean workers were detained in a U.S. immigration raid have now been returned home to emotional welcomes after a week in custody. Charlie Kirk show went live on Friday with a seat left vacant. We got a new person going in here on Monday. We'll have that update in a moment. New York City mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani has vowed to have the NYPD arrest Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu if he visits the city. On September 11, 2025, in Dallas, Yordanis Cobos Martinez attacked and killed motel manager Chandra Nagamalala with a machete after a dispute over a broken washing machine. He beheaded him before being arrested nearby. Israeli army says more than 250,000 residents have left Gaza City. NATO's RUT, the latest Russian missile technology, is capable of reaching The Hague, Madrid, or Luxembourg. We're all under direct threat from Russians. They're trying to make them all freak out. Trump says, I am ready to do major sanctions on Russia when all NATO nations have agreed and started to do the same thing, and when all NATO nations stop buying oil from Russia. I believe that this, plus NATO as a group placing 50% to 100% tariffs on China to be fully withdrawn after the war with Russia and Ukraine is ended, will also be of great help in ending this deadly but ridiculous war. China has strong control and even a grip over Russia, and these powerful tariffs will break that grip. If NATO does as I say, the war will end quickly and all of these lives will be saved. If not, you are just wasting my time and the time and energy of many of the United States. Russian armed forces have reportedly deployed an Iskander missile system on a highway in the Kaliningrad region near the Polish border. London Mayor Sadiq Khan has taken 16 international trips since 2016, covering over 73,000 air miles, which is roughly the distance to the moon and back. Flights include climate summits in New York, Rome, Paris, India, Pakistan, Canada, and the U.S. They involved at least 70 seats for staff and produced 43.6 tons of CO2. Israel continues to attack Gaza, targets towers. Drone hit Russia's Novoufimsky oil refinery, located more than 1,400 kilometers from Ukraine. An explosion occurred on the refinery's premises. Tens of thousands have joined a London anti-immigration march led by Tommy Robinson with a counter-protest by Stand Up to Racism. Trump paused plans to send troops to Chicago after advisors warned of legal issues without state support. Instead, he's focusing on Memphis, where the Republican governor welcomes federal help despite local objections. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said due to the threat posed by Russian drones operating over Ukraine near the border with Poland, preventative measures and operations of aviation Polish and Allied have begun in our airspace. Ground-based air defense systems have reached the highest state of readiness. Poland closes the Lublin airport. There are no planes near the border. Romanian Air Force intercepted a Russian drone over national airspace. 2 F-16s were scrambled from Festesti Air Base at 18:05 to respond to the threat. Operational command of the Polish Armed Forces, the operation of Polish and Allied aviation in our airspace, has been concluded. Activated ground-based air defense and radar reconnaissance systems have returned to standard operational activities. Gas explosion in Madrid injured at least 25 people, including 3 seriously. Blast damaged a bar, nearby apartments, ground floor unit believed to be inhabited, forcing the evacuation of the building. Witnesses reported a strong smell of gas and debris hitting cars and pedestrians. Marco Rubio says the drone incursion in Poland shouldn't have happened. He calls it unacceptable and dangerous. Trump took office. Russia has intensified its air campaign against Ukraine, launching 6,300 drones in July 2025 compared with 426 in July 2024. Romanian jets did not shoot down the Russian drone. They attacked it until it disappeared from radar. Netanyahu says Hamas terrorist chiefs living in Qatar don't care about the people in Gaza. Getting rid of them would rid the main obstacle to releasing all of our hostages and ending the war. At least 15 people, including journalists and teachers, have been fired or suspended for allegedly mocking or criticizing Charlie Kirk online. Venezuela says a U.S. Navy destroyer intercepted and boarded Venezuelan tuna vessel on Friday in waters in Venezuelan economic zone. Fox News host Brian Kilmeade suggested getting rid of the mentally ill and homeless people by, quote, involuntary lethal injection or something, quote, just kill them. Marco Rubio will meet Netanyahu to discuss possible annexation of parts of the West Bank or as Western countries prepare to recognize a Palestinian state. Netanyahu wants to gauge whether the U.S. under Trump would back annexation. Rubio has privately signaled he wouldn't oppose annexation. And next, it's Belarusian. The Iron Curtain becomes reality. Poland has sealed the border with Belarus. Last night, Warsaw completely shut down all border crossings with Belarus. Polish border guards stretched barbed wire, put up barricades, and halted all movement. Official explanation: security today of the Russian-Belarusian drills, the Zapad 2025, will begin with at least 30,000 troops expected. According to Lithuanian intelligence, the recent incursion of Russian drones into Poland only fueled the tension. Moscow and Minsk reacted predictably. Russia's foreign ministry demanded Poland consider the consequences. Belarus declared its checkpoints remain open, but who cares when the Polish side has already built a wall of barbed wire? Another diplomatic victory for Lukashenko. Rosie O'Donnell has called President Trump a child predator, and a statement seen by some as a signal to have him targeted for whatever. Discord investigated itself and found no evidence that Tyler Robinson planned the assassination of Charlie Kirk or promoted violence on its platform. Krasenstein brothers were following Charlie Kirk's hitman Tyler Robinson, alleged trans boyfriend, on TikTok. It's interesting. United States Air Force F-35 fighters have arrived at the former Roosevelt Roads Naval Station in Ceiba, Puerto Rico, now operating as the primary staging base for the aircraft and their support teams. These aircraft are destined to help United States and allies to fight the cartel of the suns. Trump called for 50 to 100% tariffs on China until the Ukraine war ends. Says he's already ready to impose major sanctions on Russia. Secretary of State Marco Rubio with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu inspected a wall in Jerusalem when he went to the Wailing Wall, from what I understand. U.S. Army Colonel was suspended for celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. Colonel Scott Stevens accused Kirk of, quote, inciting the political violence that killed him, end quote. Tyler Robinson denies he killed Charlie Kirk. He also refuses to cooperate with the investigation, Utah Governor Spencer Cox has said. I guess he's now the spokesman for the FBI. Night before his assassination, Charlie Kirk met with Israeli National Rabbi Pashash Wolicki to discuss how to defend Israel effectively on campus, according to the New York Post. During their conversation, Kirk was arguing for the anti-Israel side, even if only rhetorically. He was working out talking points, playing the role of devil's advocate, pushing us on these issues, trying to sharpen the iron, Wolicki said. He was in a combative mood, which is good. He was preparing for debates and attacks, the rabbi added. Ukrainian drones have hit one of Russia's biggest oil refineries, sparking a massive blaze. Strike targeted the Kirishi refinery in Leningrad region, one of Russia's top 5 oil-producing plants. Australia will invest 12 billion Australian dollars to upgrade the Henderson shipyard in Western Australia as part of the AUKUS Pact, making it a hub for maintaining nuclear-powered submarines. The U.S. will have access to the facility for its submarines with rotations of U.S. and U.K. vessels planned before Australia acquires its own fleet. Marco Rubio has arrived in Israel. He will discuss West Bank annexations with Netanyahu. A total of 72 people have died during Nepal's protests. Prime Minister Donald Tusk of Poland says there is a growing wave of pro-Russian sentiments and hostility towards fighting Ukraine, orchestrated by the Kremlin on genuine fears and emotions. France's retirees now earn more than working-age adults. Economists call it a unique and unsustainable anomaly. Israelis have been banned from the UK's Royal College of Defense Studies. Starting next year over the Gaza war, marks the first exclusion of Israelis since the college's founding in 1927. Utah Governor Spencer Cox and spokesperson for the FBI said that Charlie Kirk said some very inflammatory things, and in some corners of the web, that's all people have heard, but he also said some amazing things, end quote. Fox News host Brian Kilmeade said I wrongly said they should get lethal injections, talking about the homeless. He said, I apologize for that extremely callous remark. So many homeless people deserve our empathy and compassion. I would agree. It was a callous remark for sure. California lawmakers passed a bill banning most law enforcement officers, including federal immigration agents, from wearing masks during operations. The move follows masked ICE raids in Los Angeles, but it's unclear if the state can enforce the law on federal agents. No, they can't, so GFY. Governor Gavin Newsom has a month to decide whether to sign it. Polish president signs a decision allowing foreign troops to stay in the country as part of Operation Eastern Watch. Spain's La Vuelta cycling race was briefly stopped in Madrid after the police clashed with Palestinian protesters as the race entered the city. Finnish President Stubb said there is this imperialist DNA and undertone in Russia that doesn't seem to go away. I'm not very hopeful about the future for Russia. He said right now we're living in 1918, 1945, or 1989 moments in world history. We just don't know where the world is going. Senior Hamas official Taher El-Nono, who was reportedly a target of the Israeli strike in Doha, has made his first public appearance since the attack. He appears to be alive and well. Israeli army estimates that occupying Gaza City will take about 6 months, and completely cleansing the city will take even longer. Sinan Salen, currently deputy head of the Federal Office for the Protection of the Constitution, is set to become the new president of Germany's Domestic Intelligence Agency. Official announcement is expected soon, with formal approval likely within days. Salen will be the first BFV president born outside Germany. He was born in Istanbul in 1972 and moved to Germany at age 4, growing up in Cologne. President Trump says all NATO nations are preparing to do major sanctions on Russia and impose 50 to 100% tariffs on China. Searchable database documenting the identities of individuals who celebrated the hit of Charlie Kirk has now passed 30,000 submissions. Those who are on the database will have their employment information available to the public. Benny Johnson on X says, just spoke with top FBI officials who made it very clear that they have not ruled out the co-conspirators in Charlie Kirk's hit. Assumption is premature. The investigation is just beginning. An enormous amount of evidence has been seized, both digital and physical. FBI sources assure me the public will know everything about the dark internet history, chats, affiliations of the left-wing political hit. Source then alluded to some online groups attempting to delete or destroy evidence. Quote, we have everything. We are focused on the radicalization element. The truth will not be hidden or buried or classified. The public will know. Far right, far right, far right. America's rate of political assassinations has surpassed that of the 60s and is quickly approaching that of the Civil War, according to Peter Turchin's USPVDB, or United States Political Violence Database. And that's one of the things you can find on this Substack. You go there, there's a link, you click it, and you're right there at the USPVDB. One of the reasons why signing up for the Substack is critical. It's great, smart. It's free, unless you don't want it to be. Then you can, a little something for the effort. Maybe you want to be a member. It's a couple bucks, not much. Helps keep the lights on, helps keep us doing this critical work that is completely suppressed because we say things they don't want you to hear. So, supporting the channel is really important. We appreciate you doing that. And if you can't, well, it's all understandable. It's pretty tough out there. But we're going to keep bringing this every night. MSNBC panelist says we are at war and urges viewers to pick up weapons, while Jasmine Crockett nodded in agreement. MSNBC is promoting the rhetoric days after Charlie Kirk's hit. Germany is going to add more than 100,000 troops to army in preparation for war with Russia. The head of the German army is calling for more than doubling its forces in response to a perceived threat from Russia. Army chief said Berlin must be ready to fight a war with Moscow by 2029. Reuters reported viewing confidential German documents that show Army Chief Alphonse Mayes wants to add 100,000 new troops to the military. The increase in armed men will more than double the size of the German army. Imperative for the army to become sufficiently ready for war by 2029 and provide the capabilities Germany pledged to NATO by 2035. Proposal comes as Berlin is increasing its defense commitments to Eastern European nations. Germany is in the process of establishing a prominent deployment of 5,000 troops in Lithuania. Additionally, Berlin is planning to increase its surveillance in Poland after about 24 Russian drones entered Polish airspace. Berlin is yet to reach its 2018 goal of having about 203,000 troops across its military. Earlier this week, German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius announced Berlin was now trying to increase the size of its military to 260,000 people. France's credit score downgraded to the lowest on record because of political crisis. U.S. ratings agency, one of the global institutions gauging the financial solidity of sovereign borrowers, downgraded France on its ability to pay back debts from AA- to A+. Also said France's debt mountain would keep rising until 2027 unless urgent action was taken. Downgrade will further complicate the task of new Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu, probably heading a minority government, of drawing up a budget for next year. Instability weakens the political system's capacity to deliver substantial fiscal consolidation, saying it was unlikely the fiscal deficit would be cut to 3% of GDP by 2029 as the outgoing government had wanted. Rating downgrade typically raises the risk premium investors demand of government to buy sovereign bonds, although some financial experts had suggested the debt market had already priced it in and is expected to downgrade for France. Tuesday, return on French 10-year government bonds noses the yield was 3.47%, close to that of Italy, one of the Eurozone's worst performers. Rising yields would translate into higher costs for the servicing France's debt, which Barru warned was already at an unbearable level. Since Macron's allies in parliament have no overall majority, they will likely have to make compromises that could undermine any drive to slash spending and raise taxes, with Lecornu's job potentially also on the line. To win sufficient parliamentary support, Lecornu is expected to make concessions to the socialists, including higher taxes on the wealthy and softening Macron's hard-won 2023 retirement reform, but he risks alienating lawmakers to Macron's own party and conservative Republicans if he goes too far. Fitch projects debt to increase to 121% of GDP in 2027 from 113.2% in 2024. Without a clear horizon for debt stabilization in subsequent years, screwed. Israel will receive over $650 million for missile defense under the $895 billion National Defense Authorization Act. Congress extended Israel's access to U.S. weapons transfers, blocking ICC warrants and boycotting global arms expos that include Israeli firms. U.S. President Trump responded to people who say both sides are the problem. The problem is on the left, it's not on the right, he said. When you look at the agitators, the scum that speak so badly of our country, American flag burnings all over the place, that's the left, not the right. Trump says that Europe buys oil from Russia, and I don't want them to buy that oil. Sanctions that they imposed aren't enough. I am ready to impose sanctions myself, but they must strengthen their sanctions to match what I do. Europe has bought oil from Russia, and I don't want them to buy that oil. That's a doubler. Sorry. Polish President Nawrocki has officially authorized the deployment of NATO forces in Poland. Toronto public school teacher has been suspended after showing grade 5 and 6 students, some as young as 10, footage of Charlie Kirk's being taken out, and then telling the class that he deserved it. 10-year-olds. In what world, anything, in what world would that be acceptable? Lord, don't let the door hit you or the good Lord split you. Wikipedia editors are debating whether to remove the profile page of Charlie Kirk's wife, Erica Kirk, with some arguing she, quote, doesn't meet the threshold for notability, end quote. It's almost like they want to keep people from speaking freely. Right, YouTube? Fox News vehicle in Salt Lake City, Utah was hit with an incendiary device. 2 men, Adib Nasir and Adil Nasir, have been arrested. And a convergence. Next few weeks are bringing a rare convergence of global events that will shape the future. Russia has expanded the front lines, now placing Romania and Poland in its sights. The United Nations is preparing to declare a Palestinian state. In direct response, Israel is moving to annex parts of Judea and Samaria. Qatar is in panic mode, calling an emergency meeting in Doha as it becomes clear that Hamas leaders, they are not safe anywhere. Across the Muslim world, regimes are shaken by the unmistakable rise of Israel's power and determination. This is Amir Sarfati. Israel is preparing to launch its ground offensive to eliminate Hamas's last stronghold in Gaza City. Charlie Kirk effect. Patriots are rising up and pushing back against the progressive left's liberal agenda. Across America, the UK, and Western Europe, major shift is underway. Silent majority is silent no more. And U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance announces he'll be hosting the Charlie Kirk Show tomorrow. Friends, that is your crisis report for September 14th, 2025. We are brought to you by Augusta Precious Metals. We just did a video for the OUPES Exodus 1200 video on PrepperNow. You know, I try to make them fun and all that, so I think someone said it was one of the most entertaining gear reviews ever. You know, gear reviews are boring. It's a solar generator. We're not reinventing the wheel here, but there is a 52% discount on a lot of their stuff through the 25th. 14th through the 25th. So if you are and have been holding out to get one of their really well-made machines, this is the time to do it, okay? It is National Preparedness Month, so no better time than the present. Other than that, friends, being a member is a great way to support. Being a member of Subscribe Strong Locals is a great way to support. Being a member on Substack is a great way to support. Helps us. We're going to keep kicking it out. I know it's tough out there. So for all those that give a little something for the effort, God bless you all and thank you. Doing a big video tomorrow morning on my drive to my work. And hopefully you'll check that one out. But until then, this is what we got. All right, friends, God bless. And we will see you on the next one.